So, hello hacks, bros, we're back. Have you been paying attention to anything coming out of Florida these days?
Bro, so every time that I read anything that's coming out of Florida, most of the time it ends up with me doing the naked gun.
I actually heard that through the sound, so hopefully that'll come through as the very hard face palm to any listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I look and then I'm like, holy shit. So which crazy Florida thing are we talking about today?
So, as you know, this all stems back from the parental rights bill or the don't say gay bill, depending on which side of the fence you fall on, right?
Okay.
Disney had a bit of a kerfuffle, or I don't know what you want to call it, with their employees at Disney World, saying like, "Hey, we're Disney, we need to take a stand on this," or something, and so that happened, right? So there was like a walkout, and this was early on. There was a walkout at Disney, and so that happened. So then the board came through, and they were like, "All right, look, we we'll take a stand. We're not gonna pay for any candidates, right? That was kind of a stance a lot of companies took because they're trying to extricate themselves from the political meat grinder, as it is.
Right.
And just say, hey, look, we're just here to make money, right?
Yeah.
Then, so that happened all first. So then later, internal documents released from Disney, from writers and executives saying like, hey, we're going to be putting like LGBTQ characters in children's programming.
You broke up. Sorry, you're frozen.
Did you? Okay, so the writers and the execs, there were some internal documents that came out that people claimed. Am I still? Can you hear me?
I got you.
Okay, so they were claimed internal documents from executives and writers saying like, hey, we're going to be making new characters for all children's programs. We'll have LGBTQ, AEI, whatever, in the children's programming. So then conservatives got more mad about it. And then Disney said, okay, well, we're going to take a harder stand about, doing this stuff and fighting back against this bill. And then they started putting money towards lobbying against it. And then I think at this point is when they finally cut off the funding for all the candidates or whatever, and they stopped sending any money to any politicians at this point. I believe I think I had my timeline backwards at first. So now Mr. DeSantis, Governor DeSantis, and his legislature, both Senate and their House, has passed a bill stripping Florida of like Disney's special tax status, right? So what was this special tax status, right?
Okay.
That's the first thing you got to understand. So what this did was this allowed Disney to essentially use some of its revenue as like governance, right? So Disney was responsible for the roads, infrastructure costs like hospitals, police, some police forces, like all the infrastructure costs that a city usually has to maintain. Disney was actually responsible for, but they didn't have to pay like certain taxes,
infrastructure
right?
taxes. Yeah, I got it.
Right, so they still had to pay some taxes. I think Disney and Disney World, the number I saw that sticks out in my head was like $108 billion, something ridiculous like that, right? It was like, I don't know if it was a billion or million. I think it was million. I might be overestimating that. Probably million.
Yeah, probably million. Okay.
But anyway, so Disney paid like $108 million in taxes, and just while I'm looking for it, yeah, Disney itself, Disney World generates about $5 billion in local and state revenues, right? Just from tourism and everything else. So that's yeah. So 100,
that's probably on the conservative side, if we're being honest.
To low end, right?
Right.
Because there's people that go like to the Disney World area to like go to the Epcot Center who are adults who aren't going to the park, right? But they're spending all their money in Florida, right?
That's what I'm saying. It's like that's $5 billion a year is conservative.
That's low.
They make $11 billion on weed in Colorado. So I'm just saying, like it feels very conservative.
Yeah.
To say $5 billion, that feels low. In tourism money for everything in Florida.
Right. And then how much do you put on it? So it's this Reedy Creek is the area that it's called, right?
Mm-hmm.
Reedy, Reedy Creek.
Okay.
And their annual budget is $355 million, according to public records. Okay. It carries a debt of almost $1 billion. $977 million in debt. Now, that's part of their special tax, whatever, right? So even Disney is carrying debt to like cover the infrastructure costs and everything else that they have. Now, is that actual licensure? Is that just something that they said, hey, we can do this because we're a business and we can make the money like this and we can do some fancy accounting and take out this loan and everything else and then pay for I don't know, right?
I don't know either.
But I'm assuming it's probably more the latter, and it was just like, hey, we've got to cover this cost, but we're still a business and we're still printing money and making money like nobody's business.
Right, and everybody carries debt because why not?
Everybody carries debt, right? Nobody ever got like not elected for increasing the debt.
Yeah,
it's true.
That's true.
So I mean, that's why politicians and it doesn't matter if they raise the debt ceiling because nobody ever got ousted from their elections for not for raising the debt. It doesn't matter. Voters don't care about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, nobody's voting for Disney's board of control, right? There are like 53 permanent residents that live in this complex. Most, if not all of them, are Disney employees, right? And so while the state board the state legislature did all this, they still have to vote to confirm it. I think that's what I saw in one of these articles. So the residents of Reedy Creek, who all work for Disney, still get to vote on whether or not this is going to happen or not, right? So it's all kind of political machinations in my eyes. Because, I mean, there's still a chance it won't happen, right?
Yeah. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Because if Disney pulls out, Universal is right behind them.
If Disney pulls out, Universal will leave right behind them, or?
Yes. Because people go to Universal Studios because it's also there in Florida. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Universal Studios doesn't have the pull that Disney World does. I'm just saying, it doesn't.
If I was a savvy politician, here's what I would do to prevent that from happening. I would take all of the Disney stuff, knock down all the trademark crap, and just give it to Universal.
Yeah.
Why?
But then people still have to want to go to Universal.
That's true.
It's cute. It's cute what you say, but
that's true. It's not Disney.
It's not Disney. They're like you said, they're grown ass people that spend their vacation, their hard ass earned money, and they go to Disney every year.
That's true.
It's
one of those things.
I've never been there's an army for Trump. There's a Disney army, and what you also have to understand is Disney is the most powerful media conglomerate on the fucking planet. They own ESPN. They own fucking Hulu. They own ABC. Like, these motherfuckers will not, they're not playing with you. Like, who do you think you're starting a war with here, DeSantis? So go on ahead, buddy. That's why I'm smiling the whole time. Go ahead. Let's see who wins. Well, I promise you. If the mouse is going to win.
The mouse always wins. That's the thing, right? How many I don't even know. I don't know if they've ever had any. I was gonna say something along the lines of like, we haven't instituted any antitrust laws since 1988 or whatever, but
Bro, well, that's why Disney has been buying up more and more. They own all of Fox 20th Century, whatever, the movie part of Fox. They own all of that. So all that back catalog, they own it all.
In 2018, I was wrong. In 2018, wow, this is kind of ridiculous. They had to divest 22 regional sports networks in order to complete the acquisition of certain assets from 21st Century Fox. So that must have been when they got in ESPN. They had to sell off a bunch of their local news channels or whatever.
Yeah.
Or Fox Sports, or I don't know who the fuck they got.
Fox Sports is owned by somebody else. It's not Fox Sports anymore. Like, Fox is kind of breaking up. Like, I still use the name, so Fox News and Fox the FOX, whatever that is, FX.
By definition, Disney is not a monopoly. It is part of an oligopoly, a state of limited competition in which market is shared by a small number of producers or sellers.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. It's pretty, and they're the biggest.
The biggest.
They're the biggest. You can't fuck with them. And honestly, look what they're doing to Netflix. Like, Netflix thought they were hot shit. Netflix their stock is dropping. They lost 200,000 things from the Truebill thing.
They were expecting a plus of like 2 million, and they lost 200,000. And that's the first time that Netflix has ever lost subscribers in their 10-year history.
Yeah. Yeah.
They dropped 15% market close at that day.
Yeah. Disney. You don't fuck with a mouse. You don't fuck with a mouse.
I'm
telling you.
I think it was South Park that did something.
Yes, I just watched that episode the other day.
Just watched it. I'll pull this up right here, though.
Where Mickey Mouse turns into a giant flame-throwing something. Because people were upset with the mouse.
I think Disney's not doing well in just from this market. Now, whether this is inflationary cause or something else, they're not doing great either, right? They're still very powerful, very wealthy. They print money, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? But this is a different story, and this says that not everything is great. It hasn't been for a while. There you go. There's your 1 year. This is in the middle of COVID, Disney Plus launches. All this stuff is going great. And in the last year, not so hot. I think Disney Plus launched somewhere in 2020, right?
Yeah.
So we're not quite down to 2020 prices. Ooh,
but also, I think everybody went up in during COVID. Like, all of the home stuff went up.
Well, all the home stuff went up, and all of the big businesses went up.
There's not shit to do. Yeah.
Like Amazon, Walmart, they all made a killing. Shit, even Kroger stock went up.
Another transfer of wealth.
Well, we've talked about that.
Before.
Yeah. It was the greatest wealth extraction this country's ever seen. Yeah. From the middle class and lower class to the rich.
Speaking of, have you seen this shit from Rick Scott?
No. Wait, which one's Rick Scott?
He's the Florida senator. He used to be. He was the governor of Florida before Ron DeSantis.
This fucking crypt keeper looking motherfucker.
Yeah. So he's since changed it. He had a 12, 14, 11 point plan for the Republican Party. And he put it out. And Republicans, Fox News, flip shit. Like, they're like, hold on a second here. You're going to get us all beat. And Mitch McConnell's like, nah, motherfucker, we ain't doing that. So apparently he's still got some of it up, but apparently on his plan was basically a 5-year sunset deal on every single law. So every 5 years, each law would reset, and if you didn't revisit it, it would just end. Which would that would end Medicare, in Medicare and Medicaid, because it would never repass. And old people vote for Republicans, and if you end Medicare and Medicaid, Republicans will never be in office ever again. That's just what that is. Then
the law is worth passing. It can pass again.
Okay. Yeah. It's just like, what would happen if all of a sudden, if libraries had never existed and we tried to get a library today? What the fuck would happen?
Oh, I remember you talking about that. Yeah.
Your people would be like, what? Why don't you just buy your own books? Type shit. So, it's not my responsibility for you to read. Or something crazy like that. And then the other one was he wanted to raise taxes on the super poor. What did you say?
I said, why don't you just use your Obama phone to read? How the fuck do I get me one of those anyway?
It's not a thing. I don't think it's a thing.
It's a thing. It's not a thing anymore because obviously it's not in anymore, but yes. Anyway, so what did you say? I was mostly making a joke.
Yeah. Oh, no, it was a free phone. I think you should get that too, honestly. How the hell else are you going to get a job and get off the fucking streets, you fucking assholes? Isn't that what you want? Sons of bitches. What was I saying? Oh, the other thing. It wanted to raise taxes on everyone. Oh, yeah. But specifically the poor. Specifically raise taxes on the poor.
Yeah.
You know, like what Republicans actually want to do. He basically just went mask off on everything. He they want to end Medicare and Medicaid. They want that over. They want Social Security over. Period. They want to raise taxes on the poor and lower taxes for the rich. That's what they want. That's a real thing. Basically, he just went mask off, said, yeah, this is who we are. And it's not politically viable, but it is what you believe. Surprise! That's all.
Oh, okay. I think I've talked about Medicare, Medicaid, how it needs fixing.
Well, sure. It needs to be reinvested. We need to fund it, and it needs to be available for everyone.
Yeah. Needs fixing in its current state to at least cover cost of procedures. And then it's got to tie into some sort of insurance fix. And the thing is all that super duper complicated because it's made to be super duper complicated so that people don't actually understand what the fuck they're either A, voting for, or B, have access to through either their insurance or Medicaid. So it's all intentionally complicated.
You can simplify it.
We
can simplify it.
Should be.
But we won't because there's too much money. Too much money involved. People are making too much money.
I don't know. So I think I don't think I see anything wrong with like wiping the slate clean. I think there's a lot of things we should do that with instead of trying to fix broken systems. So I get it.
Right. Pass Bernie's plan. It would revamp the whole thing. Medicare, unfortunately, is the most popular.
Bernie's plan doesn't have any chance of passing any more than Rick Scott's plan does have passing. And that's the biggest problem, right? And Mo Brooks laid it out for us.
Facts. Yeah, he did. Have we talked about that on this show?
We have not talked about that.
Holy shit.
We're 20 minutes in. I think that should get its own thing now.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll dive into that next. You got anything else for Disney, man?
No. I will say this, that this is true. I hope Ron DeSantis is the presidential nominee for the Republican Party in 2024. Because I don't think you're galvanizing the left otherwise. I think the only way that the left shows up to vote is if him or Trump is the honestly, I think it'd probably be worse for the Republicans if it was DeSantis over Trump. Like Trump, I feel like we could probably stomach, but DeSantis would really like galvanize because nobody wants America to be Florida. Like those motherfuckers are crazy. So, and he's trying to be king of Florida. So, like that, I really do. I hope that he is the Republican nominee. I think that bodes well for the left and getting us off of our asses and doing something, because otherwise we don't give a fuck right now. Because Democrats aren't doing shit.
As a note on that, I think we're gonna find some interesting things in this 2022 midterm, and I don't think it's gonna go great for the left, the blues.
No, we're gonna get wrecked.
You're gonna get wrecked.
And you know why?
Because inflation. That's why.
No, well, partly, but had all of those things that Joe Biden ran on passed, like the Build Back Better stuff, like all of those things, had that passed,
any of it passed,
he'd probably be all right. But they didn't do shit.
It's still up on his campaign page to legalize cannabis. It's still up.
Yeah. But he won't.
And the other thing I was going to say about, you mentioned DeSantis and Trump, is that there have been journalists that have been out there trying to stir the pot. Right?
But they're BFFs.
Yeah. And he's and basically he's straight up said, like, if Trump runs, I'm not primarying against him. Period. Like, if he puts his name in the hat again, I will not run a primary against him. It's not going to happen.
Wow.
So you don't even have to worry about that, Mr. Journalist.
Man. I need DeSantis to run. Because honestly, I don't know if you can get the same visceral reaction to Trump again.
I think
you could for DeSantis.
I think after so many years of great economic policy that we've had for the last 2 years, I don't think you're going to get a strong visceral reaction against either of them, honestly.
Oh, you would against DeSantis. With the don't say gay, the don't say black, with the, like, with all of this shit that he's passing in Florida right now. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I think so.
You would galvanize the left with DeSantis, 100%.
But not with Trump.
It's the same thing. Like
that's interesting.
It's the same thing with like, with George Bush, right? So George Bush was a fucking war criminal. 4 years, 8 years later, he's rubbing elbows with Obama, and we're all cool with it.
Who is also a war criminal.
Also a war criminal.
Okay.
But you see what I'm saying? Like that time when he's out of the spotlight and he's not doing his thing, people forget. Well, you know what I mean?
I agree. Some people do forget, and I think that.
Or they're like, oh, well, maybe that policy wasn't that bad.
Well, there's something interesting happening in the Republican Party, right? And you can call me crazy for this, but most of those like older politicians are either dying, like Orrin Hatch, I think, the guy from
he just died.
He just died, like from Utah, yeah. Like, how many, incumbent candidates just like didn't run in 2020? They just like left, and you had like 2 out of Arizona, 1 senator, one congressperson, and they're like old school, Republican, quote unquote, neocon types, and I think that I think those people are basically getting ousted from their party. Is what it seems like to me. Yeah. And you don't have that going on in the DNCC,
You do a little bit, but it's a slow takeover.
Yeah,
there are what 20 of them in there, but you're gonna find out because it's you'll see. Like, you get the Lauren Boeberts and the Marjorie Taylor Greens and the Madison Cawthorns and those guys. Like that's, you're getting those, and they're out and they're whatever. But it's like, you'll see. It's like 10 people. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's not really gonna hit like you think. Like, those people got the money. The money is going to win. Like, you really, really have to buckle down and fight. We got like 20, like, progressives. But it has to do with, like, each fight matters.
Yeah.
And each one, every time that you go against one of those incumbents like that have the financial backing, that have the money, you have to refight. And so, you see that shit Mo Brooks put up. Now, those people, and it's worse for the left. It's harder for the left because our policies are for people, not for businesses, right? Like, MGT can promote a business, or she can promote her policies, and she's not going to alienate businesses, right? And so she's got to find people that will put her on those, what's it called? Committees. She has to find companies that are going to put her on committees. It's I don't know. You'll see, and it's a slog. Like, every one of those is a hard fought win, and you have to do like how people like Lauren Boebert and MGT get into Congress is they find them a red area, and then they run in that area, and sure, they win there, but that's not the majority of America. Mm-hmm. It's just like AOC. AOC is going to win Brooklyn because she's super duper left, right? That's an easy win.
What was the Pelosi quote? You could run a glass of water with a D on it in Brooklyn and win.
Yeah,
something like that.
Well, obviously not, because her fucking guy lost. But like Just saying. But once you win that primary, you're in. It's over. Like, the Republicans can't even compete. What'd she win by? Fucking 60 fucking %? Like, torched whoever was there. Or whoever ran against her. Like, not even close. But that, you know, when we're sitting here and, you know, we want somebody to run against Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's on trial. I don't even know if they're going to let her on the ballot, but that's the only chance they have of beating her because of the area that she's run, her district, or her, is it district? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Anyway,
district.
Because her district is super duper red. It's in fucking Georgia. Like,
she won by what? 73%?
It's NASCAR Central. No offense, rednecks, but it is what it is.
73% with her victory.
Yeah. So the only way you beat her is by not allowing her on the ballot. She's gonna win. It is what it is. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know how the hell. I don't know if you've seen the district in Lauren Boebert's district, but I pulled it up because, you know, I went to Colorado, right? And I'm like, the fuck is? How did she win here? Right? Like, dude, this is granola heaven. Mm-hmm. How the fuck is Lauren Boebert from here? Well, her district is like Aspen, like, and it is like 18 different little spots that are barely connected, all in the super duper rich areas. And that's how she went.
Basically from Aspen to Taos to...
yeah. It was... I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because poor people can't afford to even work there anymore. Have you seen that? It's a problem right now. Like, they can't find anybody to work these spots in Breckenridge and in Aspen and things like that because they can't afford to live there. So people are buying these $1 million summer homes, and the taxes have gone up, and the property's gone up, and the people that would work those jobs for like $15 an hour can't afford to live there, so they don't work there anymore. They moved off, and so now they don't have anybody to work. When I went, this is true. There were like, it looked like there were like 12-year-olds in there working because the people had nobody else to work. And I'm like, dude, you're 12. You're running the store?
Alcohol.
I'm telling you, it's but it's a problem. Like, apparently, like, it's like they literally can't afford to live there. So they moved, and now they're like, well, nobody wants to work. No, bitch, it ain't. That's not the problem.
That's not the problem. All right. So,
okay, in that.
Yeah.
BroPartisan's out. BroPartisan. Thank you for watching this episode of BroPartisan Hacks with Reese and Rob. We really, really appreciate you watching, tuning in. If you like this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to us. We're putting out content as often as we can. Share it with your friends. Get it out there. Get our names out there. Also, hit that bell, tap that bell right there so that you can get updated when we put out a new video. Rob and I are trying to pump these videos out as often as we can. However, we both have day jobs, we have families, so our schedules have to line up so that we can make a new video. Speaking of our day jobs, our opinions and views expressed are our own and in no way represent those of our respective employers. Thank you. Thanks again for watching.